Last week, we finished up the PGF Season 6. For those that don't know, PGF is the Professional Grappling Federation. I covered it in some shorts, and today I thought I'd just show you some things like some stats from it. The PGF is great. For those that don't know, it's like a new format for grappling. Instead of doing a traditional tournament format, in this one you have matches going on over 5 days, and almost all the competitors go against each other. You have 20 welterweights in this case, and they're all fighting each other. They're 6-minute matches. If you get a submission, you win and you get points. If you don't, nobody gets any points. So it's just submission or draw, which I think is really cool. On top of that, all the players are put on teams. And at the end of the 4 days, the team with the most points wins. And in this season, the winning team got to split $100,000, which is actually unheard of in grappling. Then on the final day, the 8 players with the most points do an EBI-style tournament for another $20,000. So, all in all, you could win about, $40,000, which I think is really good. I think one of the most enjoyable things with it is just following the different athletes over the week. I really feel like, there's some athletes I don't know going in, but over the week, I kind of like, I'm rooting for this guy by the end of the week. You want to see them win, especially like somebody like Jet Thompson. I'd never heard of this kid before, but by the end of the week, I was rooting for him. He's just a 17-year-old kid, a brown belt, but he beat lots of good guys and he just looked really good. I was excited to see him by the end of the week. The other really big important thing is this event is free, at least for the first 4 days. You can find this all on YouTube for free. I'll leave the links down below so you can watch those. But if you're somebody that says, I don't want to watch, just hours and hours of grappling every day, I don't have time for that, but you do want to see some of the matches, you can catch them on Smooth Comp. I'll show you how. Okay, so if you just want to watch the individual matches, just go to smoothcomp.com like this. We're going to look under events. After we get into there, we're going to make sure we go into past events, and then we're going to search for the PGF. So I'm just going to type in PGF right here. I'll use PGF World Season 6. And then I'm going to go into the athletes. I guess you could go into matches too. And then we have the list of all the athletes. So just find whoever you want. So if you think like, okay, I like, Max Hansen, for example. I can look under here, and then I can just scroll down and see his matches. I don't want to spoil too much for you, but you see down here are his first day matches, and it goes into day 2, 3, etc. And you can just click on watch here, and it's all free. So using this, you can watch the individual matches, so that way if you don't want to watch all of them and you just want to see a few, you can do it like this. It's easy. The action in these matches was really good. I really like the fact that there was lots of different styles at play. There's some people who like to pull guards, there's leg lockers, there's wrestlers, all sorts of people in there. You could kind of see them all go against each other. The fact that you got to see them not just fight once, but multiple times, oftentimes multiple times every day, for me it made it a lot more interesting. It seemed like the first day lots of people kind of didn't know what to do, but the second day and the third day and the fourth day, they kind of honed in on a strategy, and I think it was nice to see kind of like the evolution. And also, if you like someone, sometimes they just have a bad day or something. I think this gave people more of a chance to kind of show their skills, and I think this is a good resource just for learning about like techniques and things. Let's take a look at some of the winners now. Okay, so as for the winners, the winning team was X Martial Arts, coached by John Jacques Machado. They had a really good team of submission hunters. They had Elijah Carlton, Davis Asare, Ben Eddy, David Evers, Nathan Haddad, and Dane Leake. I was surprised that David Evers actually put up some good numbers, as well as Elijah Carlton I kind of expected. And I think all of them actually looked really good, so congratulations to them. They split the $100,000. As for the individual winner was Andy Varela. He just put in consistent work over the whole week. He was kind of dominating people with top pressure and everything. He's having a bit of trouble finishing people from the top, but when he got to the back, he was choking people out or just cranking their faces. So congratulations to him. He got $20,000. Let's take a look at the stats now, and we'll just start with the wins. A little bit under 40% of the matches ended in submission, which I think is great. Chokes and leg locks tied, and this was followed by arm locks, and this is the normal situation you get in most events. I should also mention that these are the compiled stats for the first 4 days. There was a 5th day. If you have UFC Fight Pass, you can watch it there, and that's when you have the EBI finals where Andy Varela won. But these are just the first 4 days, and I put these together because these have the same rules. The last day was EBI rules. It's a little bit different, so I just decided to put all 4 of them together here. I'll show the stats for everything else up here really fast. You can just look through these, pause the video if you want to see how many sweeps there were, how many takedowns, etc. You can look through these. If you don't want to watch them in the video, on my blog I have all this and I go through them in a little bit more detail so you can see them there. I did make one mistake here. There was actually one side control submission, so keep that in mind. This last one is a little bit interesting. So it had a 7.6 action score. The action score is how many attempts you have at moves per 5 minutes, so I think this is actually very high. The average action score for 2023 was 6.5, so you're getting one more move. The highest I've ever recorded is 9.17, and that was the last quintet, but I think that's hard to reach that level of action, to be honest. That's a little bit unrealistic. Now, if we look at the level of technique, the score was 2.41. So this score is actually really high also. The technique score is how many actual completed techniques you get in a 5-minute period. So how many guard passes, takedowns, sweeps, etc. in a 5-minute period. This, I believe, is probably the second highest I've ever recorded. The average is 1.68, so this is much higher, and the highest I've ever recorded, I believe, is 2.54. So this is actually very close to that. As you can see by the stats, there's lots of action, lots of technique, and it's just overall just fun. There are a lot of standout athletes. I think the biggest one, as I said, was probably Jet Thompson, just because he was kind of unknown. He had lots of good matches, especially his match with David Evers was really impressive for me, at least. I thought that was a really good one. Dave Cesare proved that he's one of the top up-and-coming athletes. He had lots of good matches and just really looked technically sound in all areas. Showed off some good wrestling, showed off good guard work, nice leg locks, nice upper body submissions, just everything just looked really smooth and good. Andy Varela is tough as always, made the matches really gritty, and he showed off lots of really good passing. I didn't know his passing was that good. Lots of really nice Toriando passing he showed off. PJ Barch looked really good. He kind of had a slow start, and I think the format kind of got to him because he was doing lots of good work, like taking people down, passing, etc. But he wasn't really getting the finish until he got into leg lock positions, but it seemed like he wouldn't go into the positions unless somebody else initiated the leg lock attempts. So he showed off really good counter leg locking skills, much better. I knew he was a good leg locker, but he proved he's much better than I think a lot of people expected him to be. Also, Hanato Kanuto looked really good, super exciting, always moving, and just showed off a really interesting and fun style to watch. It's really crowd-pleasing, interesting, fun grappling that you'd want to show to somebody else that's not a grappler. And the same thing with Daniel Sattler. I think Daniel Sattler doesn't have the biggest name, but he has lots of talent, and he had at least 2, maybe 3 highlight reel submissions that I think everybody should watch. Just go on Smooth Comp and look at his matches. You'll see some good stuff. I think it was definitely worth it. I think everybody put up good matches. Also, I think it was Elijah Carlton and Cam Hurd had a really nice match too. There was lots of good matches here. Watch them all. I think you can find something to learn from, but those are the ones I thought were just really, really exciting. The last thing I want to talk about here is the rules. So for these matches, it was basically either you sub or you get nothing. And I think the stalling calls really helped here. The first day, they were a little bit more relaxed with the stalling calls, but the second day and all the rest of the days, they really picked it up and it helped a lot. For these, if you were caught stalling, they would basically set you in a referee's position, from wrestling, and you'd have to go from there. So this was actually a good incentive because sometimes people were getting caught, just trying to pass the guard or getting caught in guard and the other person was pulling away. And being put in that referee's position really kind of changed lots of matches. Some people got subs just because of that. And I'm all for it. Some of the matches just got too boring, and you don't want that in grappling. I think lots of promotions are afraid to use stalling calls, but you really need them. Use more stalling calls. I don't care if people are getting penalized all the time. Just More stalling calls. Please, I want to see action. This really helps with it. One thing I would like to say though is I'd like to see a shot clock similar to how they do in wrestling or even in basketball. Meaning that if you're caught stalling, I'd like to see them have like a 30-second clock, and if they do a meaningful attack, it doesn't even have to be successful, but you can definitely tell they're trying to attack. You can turn the clock off, they're okay. But if they don't do that within 30 seconds or maybe even 20 seconds, then penalize them. I think this would help make things more exciting and just help in general. Also for PGF, besides putting them in the referee's position, the person would get 2 points if they got up to 3 penalties. But that never happened in here, and there's some matches where I was like, you could have given them 3 penalties. So I'd like to see a little bit more consistency with that. Maybe they can have some judge on the side with maybe a timer for 1 minute. If nobody or one person doesn't attack for like a minute or a minute and a half, automatically start that clock on them, and then if they don't do anything 30 seconds after that, give them that penalty. I think that should kind of be a strategy for people instead of just something like a penalize somebody for not doing something. I think people should be able to use that as a strategy where you're just so aggressive and you're shutting somebody down, they can't do anything, and then, penalize them. So I think that would be something that might help and might make things more interesting. Overall, PGF 6 was great. If you haven't, definitely watch this and support them. At least, if nothing else, give them a like on their videos, because I think as grappling fans, we want to see more shows. These are on YouTube for free. You don't have to pay anything. Except for the final day, you have to have Fight Pass, but you've got 4 days of grappling, lots of matches with high-level competitors for free. So support them so they can continue this. Who knows, if this gets really popular, maybe we'll see something like this every 3 or 4 months, which would be great. I think this season of PGF was the best one yet. It was a lot of fun, great action, and I think it's just getting better and better. Support the PGF, support me by giving me a thumbs up, leave me any questions or comments down below, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't done that. So, till next time, see you.